Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend. And he takes that chance!
It can only get better. Welcome to the warm-up, episode 81. I'm your host, Brady Frost, and to preview Blackpool, I'm joined by Tom Bradshaw. Tom, how are you? Long time no speak.
Brady. Yeah, I'm not too bad, mate. How are you this morning? Yeah, it's morning. Ooh.
Yeah, it is morning. Yeah, no, I'm good. It's we're fresh from the transfer window. We know what the squad's going to be to at least January. Bar one or two, maybe free agents. So yeah, no, all good. But we are joined as well by David Siddell. David, welcome to the pod. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. Yeah, first time I'm a bit nervous, but yes, looking forward to it. Discussing transfers and next Blackpool ahead. So
yeah,
exactly.
You'll be fine, mate. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Welcome. We're obviously very unprofessional on this. There's no nerves. No need to be nervous.
Tom, you said the quiet part out loud. Stop it. It's all right, mate. You know, you've got the chalk on your boots. You'll be fine.
Look, I passed the first test and didn't mute myself, so it's a start.
That is good to know. Yeah, no, great stuff. So we will get into it. I've done a little jingle for this, Tom, because it's time for transfer review.
It's transfer time.
Okay, so let's talk about the transfers. So we've got 11 players in, 22 have gone out in this window. So I'll read the players in. So I think we'll do players in first, then talk about the outs, and then we'll move on to the Blackpool preview. So in, we've got Will Boyle from Cheltenham on a free, David Kasumi from Milton from MK Dons. It was undisclosed. So there are basically every transfer we've got is undisclosed or free. So don't get excited. Colin Mahoney, Millwall on a free, Carl Hudlin, Solihull Moors, Jack Radoni, AFC Wimbledon, Yuta Nakayama from PEC Swole, Tino Andrew on loan, Kane Kesler Hayden on loan from Villa, Tyree Simpson, Ipswich Town undisclosed, Luke Mbete, Manchester City on loan, and finally announced just before midnight, Mikel Hellick from Barnsley undisclosed. So, Tom, I'll come to you first. Quite a few ins probably needed, seeing as 5 of the players from the playoff final out here. Which one do you like the look of most? I know we've seen some in action already.
Yeah, probably Jack Radoni. I think as actually seeing them in person, I've been very impressed with him. I'm excited for Hellick because I think that's what we've been lacking this year is someone at the back basically who's going to boss it, and hopefully he'll do that because he in a pretty rubbish Barnsley side last year he held them together quite well. I think he helped them keep the score down in a few games and stuff like that. So I'm quite excited to see him slot in there. And then I don't know. I mean, Kasumu, it's just going to be. It's obviously going to be really frustrating because that little stint he had against Burnley, I thought he looked great. Came on, got stuck in, made some amazing tackles, and then he just got injured after about 15 minutes. So if he can stay fit, I think he can be very good. But I think we've brought in some decent signings. To be honest, it's just whether they can gel. And the big question is, I mean, and this is the Kasumu who's supposed to be that replacement, but if he's going to keep staying injured, have we done enough in midfield? Potentially not.
Yeah, it's an important question. David, what about yourself? Do you agree with Tom about the midfield issue? Any standouts in the transfers for you as well?
Yeah, I think we've left ourselves a little light in the middle. I think Kasumi's got plenty of potential and ability, but his injury record the last couple of years suggests you can't maybe rely on him to play 40 games a season, which we sort of need if we're going to get any sort of consistency. I prefer Radoni personally a bit further up the pitch, but he's obviously got a great deal of potential. I think it was his best for AFC Wimbledon last season when we a bit higher up, making late runs into the box and getting on the end of balls. So linking up that play in the final third, as opposed to maybe being that pivot he is at the moment, in front of the back back four, back five. I just don't really see the quality up front as such, which is, I think, where we didn't score enough goals last year. I struggle to see where we're going to get more goals from. Hopefully, a fully fit Andrew will address that a bit. But yeah, I don't think we've done enough up front to improve that weakness really. But also Green Hellick as well. He was one of my targeted signings I wanted at the start of the window, so I'm very pleased that got over the line.
Good stuff. Yeah, I mean, I'm same with you guys. I think Radoni's impressed me. I think Nakayama be interesting. We'll probably come on to it, but I think he's stood out for me in spells. Potentially could shift to left wing back. Andrew, we know his quality. You know, as we've seen it in short bursts. If he can get that consistency, Kessler Hayden's impressed me as well. I think he looks quite direct and exciting. So I think Turton's solid, but and Turton's been playing kind of in the back three. But I think Kessler Hayden could be good, and maybe Pippa levels potentially. I think that might be a slight upgrade based on the Pippa we saw last season. So yeah, I mean we'll see. I mean I'll be lying if I said I knew a lot about Luke Mbete. Like, he's just another young lone player from Man City. But if he can do half as good as Colwell did, we're in for a treat, aren't we? So yeah, so they're kind of all the ins. So I'll just read the outs, and then we'll come on to the questions from the listeners. So Vallejo was released. Reece Brown, remember him, Forest Green Rovers. Jamal Blackman went to Exeter on a free. Fraser Campbell was released. Naby Sarr released and gone to Reading. Carol Lighting released. Keane Harrott gone to Bradford City on loan. Josh Osterfield to Harrogate. There's quite a few Harrogate loans in it. Jaheim Headley, Harrogate on loan. Critchlow, Bradford City on loan. Pippa, Olympiacos, undisclosed. Matty Daly, Harrogate loan. Carl Hudlin, Wimbledon loan. Toff and Lewis to Forest, as we all know. Scott High to Rotherham on loan. Rolando Aarons, remember him, Motherwell FC on loan. Jacob Chapman to Salford City on loan. Danny Grant to Harrogate on loan. Edmonds Green to Wigan on loan. Josh Koroma to Portsmouth on loan. And finally, Kieran Phillips and Morecambe on loan. We got one of the questions. I don't know what you guys think. I was quite surprised to see Edmonds Green and, I know it was earlier in the window, but Scott Hyde gone to loan to two teams in the Championship. Tom, what are your thoughts on that?
I don't agree with it, to be fair. I don't get why you'd send two lads from your squad to teams in your league that could then potentially hinder your position in that league. Especially with those two players, because it sounds like High isn't particularly starting at Rotherham, but he's coming on. He's almost doing exactly what he was doing for us last year, like getting a chance. And then it's going to be interesting to see what Reg gets as well there. Is he going to have the same where maybe he doesn't start, but he plays the odd game? So then it just asks the question, what was the point of loaning him out anyway if they're both doing what they were going to do at Town? I think Scott High's a miss because I think he does a job this season for us, especially given what's going on with midfield at the moment. Reg is interesting. I thought he's had a decent start to the season, settling in, and played quite a few games, and then to just kind of ship him off to another Championship team. I don't know, Brady. I just find it very strange, especially the way things are going. We're going to be in that kind of bottom half this year, and then to send them to two teams who are probably going to be in a similar situation as us. It just, for me, doesn't particularly make sense from a competitive side.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of with you on that. It seems strange. I think particularly the Reg one, because I know we've brought in Mbete and Hellick, but I don't know, just thinking in terms of depth. I know Nakayama can play there and Turton's been playing there, but it does seem a bit weird. And I agree with you. I don't think Reg has put the foot wrong, really. He's not been standout, but I don't think he's been standout so far.
The City lad's got to be good. He's only 18, and if he's coming in and basically sending Reg out, so what's Reg, 23, and he's like one of our players. So this City lad has to be good. You know what I mean? Because because then I also don't see the point in that. If this City lad's not either starting the odd few games, if he's just going to sit on the bench and come on, then you might as well have let Reg do that. That's what I don't get as well. It's going to be interesting to see what the lad from City offers. I forgot his name. What's his name? Mbete, yeah. Because like that just doesn't colorate words. Colorate. Is that a word? Have I just made a word up? Colorate.
I'd rescue you. It doesn't correlate.
Colorate. I can't say that word.
It's all right. It's not like we're doing a podcast or anything.
But, yeah. Sids, what do you think?
I don't think Red's really done anything wrong in the games he has played. But if we brought in 2 centre backs on deadline day, it makes sense to move on and play football at the highest possible level for both him and the club. I think Mbete is a left-sided, so I think that's possibly the plan to move Nakayama to left back or wing back and give competition to Ruffles on that side. And then you're looking at Helik and Lees, and then Pearson comes back fit. It's hard to know what they want from that defence. I think Reds gives you the option of bringing the ball out from the back, which I feel we've been lacking. Scott High at the time I thought was a good move, but now at the end of the window where we haven't really got the midfield cover, it makes me a bit disappointed. Really, I thought he might do well in the role with Donny plays really. So I mean, it's good to hopefully to get some football, to get an experience out of it and come back better players. I'd hope we'd have recalls in January if it's not working out, when they're doing well. So I think bit sort of sat on the fence really. I think it's disappointing to lose 2 good homegrown players, but it's also a chance to give them a regular football, so they probably wouldn't get here.
No, that's a good point. And David, sorry to put you on the spot a bit, but you did a little bit of research into some of the players. Is there anything, just on the window in general, anything that you want to pick out or mention?
What, with regards to the incomings? Or,
whatever you want to do, mate. As you can tell, as Tom admitted, we're unprofessional here.
I'd just like us to have a bit more. Window just feels a little bit not haphazard, but it doesn't feel as organised to progress as I'd like. I thought we maybe after the player final, we maybe a bit more targeted quality, or a bit more targeted players we wanted. We knew we did that Lewis and Toffolo were off at some stage. It didn't really feel like we had a succession plan for either of those. They obviously key players in how we played last season, and if we're going on the continuity route, it feels like we haven't really done that in the way we play, the way we've recruited. And we didn't add any, I say earlier, we didn't really add any quality, I would say, to make the squad better. We just added sort of squad players and potential in the hope. And I think that's sort of coming across a little bit now. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to have, keep calling him Harry Styles, but Callum Styles from Barnsley, I thought would have been a great fit in our midfield. Possibly a longer term Hogg replacement as well. Although Hoggy's a legend, but 33, 34 years old now, you have to sort of do some sort of succession planning there. And I think if you've got a 22-year-old who does a similar role and can play the ball, it's good to get that in. And I wouldn't have minded the left back that Preston signed alone for Man United as well. It's a very similar profile to Toffolo, but obviously it's not as easy as that. So,
did anyone end up signing Styles yesterday?
I don't believe so. No, I think
there
were a good few clubs linked.
Yeah.
I think Millwall put in a late request for a loan, didn't they? And I think it was rejected, but they were going to appeal. So we don't know at the time of recording. I don't think.
Loan offer rejected, and then Sunderland apparently were sniffing around. Yeah, you're right. There was a few players in that Barnsley team last year that I thought Town could have hopefully persuaded to hop over and join us. But I mean, it sounded like, was it the lad who ended up going to Luton,
Morris.
Morris. Apparently, we were close to that, weren't we? But that didn't happen in the end. So I don't know. I mean, it's not been a bad window, has it? But Siddell, David, sorry, I'm using the friend name there. Oh, friends. But that's a really good point about we haven't replaced the quality we've lost. We've just kind of built better brought better squad players in. No one comes close to O'Brien, and I think that'd be hard anyway to replace. But like, you're not even really replaced Toffolo, have you? Yeah, it's a bit. I don't know. It's not a bad window, but from that perspective, it is a little bit disappointing.
I think it's an early rebuild window. It's kind of a weird situation to basically have gone from relegation candidates to 50, an hour, 90 minutes away from the Premier League. Normally, that takes a big build. It takes 3, 4, 5 years of building, and we didn't really do that. So while we had some initial sort of depth last year, I don't think anyone, we might not admit it, but I don't think anybody really sure was getting to a playoff final with the squad we had. And I think the idea of Nizzy was to build upon that, but now we've kind of lost 6 of the starting lineup from that. We're sort of building again in the slow build. So I think the difficult part's going to be accepting that slow build that you probably need to be sustainable at this level. We just want to try and avoid another season where we're going to be in the relegation zone, really. I mean, wouldn't mind just a season of 14th and can go to Cardiff away and enjoy it rather than having to get points from it.
Yeah, exactly. Just, 14th, take that all day long. Can I ask a question to you both about what are your thoughts on Karoma going on loan to Portsmouth? Because contract out end of season, I think, isn't it? So is that it? Is he gone now, do you think?
I mean, I think that's look, it's clear there's something up with Karoma, like it's not working at Town for whatever reason. We actually said, didn't we, as harsh as it sounds, if you look at his Town career, he's essentially had a purple patch when there was no fans. And I know he got that significant injury and he was out for a long time. And I think that's part of it as well. It looks like a confidence thing to me when he's been playing for Town. It looks like he's trying, the classic, like trying too hard. It's a bit of a weird one because I think obviously he knows Cowley and maybe that's it. But I don't know. I don't really know what the plan is. Is it like, are you trying to hope he hits the ground running and you sell him in January, or because to me, a season-long loan and he's out of contract. Well, we already extended it once. Surely he's just leaving on a free, really, which is a bit of a shame because I feel like there was something there, and I don't know. I mean, hopefully he, does well in League One, but I just wonder if maybe it's a bit like as harsh as it sounds, a bit like a Bakuna situation. Like maybe it's just not. It's just not going to work out at Town and he needs to go somewhere else permanently. David, what about you?
Yeah, I think similarly. I think he needed to sort of a fresh start away for a bit. I think it was first few games sort of saw him as very frustrating to watch, really. He was sort of getting in the right areas and then snatching at it or taking that extra touch, doing that bit too much to try and impress. I think sort of contract-wise, he's on a free at the end of the summer anyway, at the end of the season anyway. So I think if the club put him in a window, does well for 6 months, puts Portsmouth in a situation where they're able to just put some money toward pay up front or sell on field, however the deal might be structured. But it gives the club maybe a better opportunity to get something for him than they would have done if he was just to be a bit part player and in our B team or coming off the bench on cup games or Tuesday night games here and there. So I think it's a chance to get something out of it, maybe where we wouldn't have before. So it's hopefully a good move for both parties.
Yeah, absolutely. Right then, gents, we'll move on to the questions from listeners because it's time for the mailbag.
You've got mail.
So Smilewell, he asked a similar question. I just wanted to shout him out because we've kind of touched on it already. But why are we loaning out a capable defender in Edmonds Green, who's better than what we have defensively starting? We've touched on that, but again, I think we're all kind of a bit like, not sure if we should have loaned him out.
Yeah.
Well, when we come on to preview the Blackpool game, which we'll do a little bit on, those signings, it does, it's interesting what we're going to do at the back, I think. So we'll see. But I think it's probably he wasn't going to start, and if he's going to start at Wigan, that's probably better for everyone. Even though I think we're disappointed to let him go. So Gary at Gary Wilco 07, he says it starts with a little bit of a and out of the blue we have on paper what looks like a solid back line, but how does this help our centre midfield issues? Turton Nakayama to move into the centre, or are we hoping Kasumu and Hoggy keep fit? We've touched on it there. I mean, with the new signings, how do you think we are going to address the midfield? Because I think we've seen Schofield was playing a back four a lot in pre-season. But I think, you look at the Stoke game, moved to a 3 and, got the win and been playing a 3 since. I know we've touched on it there. Kasumu is coming back from fitness, but I'm just thinking for the upcoming games where he's still getting back, what would you guys do really? Centre midfield, because it is a problem area.
Well, we've said it, haven't we, last few pods. I'd put Holmes in there, give him a go at the moment. And David touched on it. Scott Hyatt looked like a good low move at the start, but now it's looking a bit frustrating because he would have slot in there nicely with Kasumu's injury. So you just got to work with what you've got. And for me, I think I'd just drop Holmes in for a couple of games, see how he settles in there. Don't know, Brady. That's the worrying part, isn't it? That middle.
I think you stick with a back 3 for the moment. I think number of centre backs we've signed suggests that that's got to be the long-term plan going forward. I'd keep Hogg and Rosswell protecting, and then look to maybe put Holmes with Donny in front of those in sort of like a number 8 pivot, and give them space to roam to maybe try and get triangles and pockets of play. So you have 2 sitting and maybe allow a centre back and get your full-backs further up the pitch. So basically try and get that ball out of the final third, so we can play the football a bit higher up the pitch. Because I think at the moment it feels like we're playing it very much in the final third. It makes it very easy to press, and when we lose the ball high up, we're instantly turned, and one of the 2 midfielders out of possession, and there's a gaping hole, and that's where we sort of tend to. And then it doesn't matter who's centre back. Then really, if you've got 2-on-1 or 3-on-2, you're always going to be in trouble. So I think it's as much of a shape issue as it is personnel. And I don't think we've got the personnel maybe to play the way Schofield wants. If he wants to be sort of pressing from the front, I don't think we've got that at the moment. So I think we've got to try and work to our strengths, which is to sit back and give the fullbacks and the creative players as much space as we can.
Yeah.
It's tricky because I know it's weird because I like Jonathan Hogg, you can never write him off, but I think it kind of does, like you touched on there, it poses a question of the midfield. I kind of agree with you, Tom. I think Stick Hutton's in there, but I don't know what Schofield are doing. I think we've touched on it based on what you said, David, but also like on a couple of pods, like I still don't think Schofield knows what his best team is, which I think is a problem. But hey, hopefully he's going to have some time to iron it out. So the final question is from, I'm probably going to pronounce this awfully, Bjorn Gambach, at B Gambach. He asks, backup senior keeper and another midfield definitely still needed, right? From the free agent pool?
Actually, good point. I think that about the keeper situation. That
concerns me because Schofield's gone out. So what we've got, Bilo Kapic.
Yeah, Chapman's gone out.
Chapman's gone out. So yeah, if Nichols, touch wood, but if Nichols gets injured, that is a bit of a crisis. I don't really know in terms of names anyone we could pick out, but I think I would say if it's fairly cheap. To be honest, I'm disappointed we didn't sign Jamal up because he was training with Town. I just thought that was a bit weird to release him. Maybe he wanted to play first team. He's playing for Exeter, but that was a weird one for me. But yeah, what do you? David, what do you think? Do you think we need another backup keeper and maybe another midfielder in the free agent market?
Backup keeper's a tricky one because they're not going to play ahead of Nichols. So you, in effect, just wasting a wage in essence to probably be used elsewhere. And you've always got the emergency loan system for goalkeepers to bring in if you need them. So while you like that security, I sort of taken the Warnock substitution approach, where you probably don't need a senior backup keeper if you've got Billy Capita, who's on loan at Hartlepool last season as well. So on that one, I can sort of understand it, even if it's a bit of a risky strategy. Was the second part of the midfield, wasn't it? I think.
Midfield, yeah.
I think Todd's that. I think quite a bit. I think with Scott High going out on loan in particular now, it's just looking a little bit live. But if Kasumu stays fit, he has a good run in the team. Maybe that'll be the difference.
Yeah, I mean, I was just looking at Transfermarkt to see free agents. Free agent goalkeeper Joel Coleman, bring him back home.
Yeah, Joel, Joel's in there.
What about you, Tom? Any midfielders? I'm again having a look at the free agents, realistic ones. So removing your Ross Barkleys, etc.
Yeah, I'm just having a look as well. Realistically, yeah.
I mean, this is basically what the transfer team did that Corberan's first season, wasn't it? So,
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there's a couple, but like realistically, who are you going to get? Like, and Town won't sign like an old name on big wages, will they? So, like.
It's also integrating them into the team as well is the issue. Like their level of fitness and integrating them. You got a lot of games in a quite a short space of time before the World Cup break. So it's almost like you may be looking at the World Cup break as another pre-season really in there. Maybe one or two are going away, but maybe then looking at that as a 4-week break to really get your mark on the team and press ahead for the December, January part and from there.
I think that's a really good point.
There's that dirty bugger Dale Stevens on a free.
Oh, really?
Potentially. But looking at that, I can't see anyone that stands out on a free transfer.
No.
That isn't, that might disrupt. There's no kind of young lads, is there, that you could potentially pick up.
Ryan Thomas was at PSV Eindhoven last year, but he's injured, so probably fitting well for some of our recruitment policy. But
because that's I had a look at your new striker, Simpson, and on transfer market, it says he's out with a knee thing till December, Brady.
Well, yes, the announcement was we weren't expecting back until after the World Cup, which I know angered a few Town fans. But I suppose like if he's young and promising, you think for the long term, aren't you? And
If you believe in him, you get the deal done, don't you?
Let's hope for some positivity. I mean, we could spend the rest of the pod looking at Transfermarkt on sentiment. Longo, we were linked with, actually, to be fair. He's without a club. And the other one, bringing back Danny Drinkwater. Don't know. Why not? I'll stop being silly. Right, finally, chaps, let's go on to preview Blackpool. Before we do, rate the window out of 10 for Town. What are you going for, Tom?
7.
7? Yeah,
I think so. It's a generous 7 as well.
I think who we've brought in is, like, in terms of people we've brought in, I think it's quite good. I think I agree with you. I've gone for a 7 because I think what lets it down is people we've lined out. Like we're missing some areas. Like I think you both said it. The Scott High thing is spot on. Looked good at the start of the window. Doesn't look so great at the end. David, what's your rating?
I think a generous 6. I think it's kind of a window we might look back on as better than we thought initially, maybe a year or 18 months time. But at the moment, it feels a little bit underwhelming. But maybe that's just a short-term view. We'll look back at 18 months and it was the foundation of something to build upon. So, but at the moment, I think it's a 6.
Okay, there you go. So I'll get in my little phrase that makes me sound like a bit smarter than I am. But you look at the age profile of these players, it's moving in the right direction. Okay, anyway, let's get on to preview Blackpool, shall we? So the 2-0 defeat in midweek for Huddersfield makes it just one win in 7 in all competitions for Town this season. Meanwhile, Blackpool have 2 wins in the league, but they lost 1-0 last time out to Blackburn in midweek. They've lost one of their key players, Josh Bowler, to the transfer vacuum that is Nottingham Forest. So that's a blow, pun intended. So how are we feeling about this game then, Tom?
I don't know. I mean, I don't want to put that annoying phrase out there, but I do think it's a must-win kind of for Danny, just so he keeps the fans as onside as possible, because there's starting to be a few murmurs. I think he should get the same amount of time that Carlos had, to be fair. I think maybe, hopefully, because I think when you look back to Carlos's start, he was really set on a formation that sometimes didn't work, or most of the times didn't work. Then he began to get a bit more adaptable, didn't he? I think there's a bit of a transition potentially from like coaches who've been at the youth level, where you're allowed to experiment, you're allowed to try and focus on a style. But once you make that step up, it's a bit more, you've got to be adaptable to when things are thrown at you. So hopefully maybe he'll figure that out sooner rather than later. But I don't know. Look, it's a game that on paper you think Town at home against Blackpool should be looking to get 3 points from. Yeah.
Yeah, I had that exciting Boxing Day win last season as well, 3-2.
Yeah,
So we take
it's a
something
good
like
game,
that,
that
won't
wasn't it? Yeah. So hopefully it reignites Sorba. Yeah, another Sorba Thomas masterclass would be nice.
No, it would. David, what about yourself? Do you agree with Tom? Do you think we should really be looking to get a win here?
Yeah, I think so. It's, just goes without saying, and no easy games. But I think if you're looking to be finished above the relegation zone, these sort of games at home, you have to be looking to get 3 points from, and maybe get some goals on the board. Their defensive record isn't the greatest like ours, so I think they can be got at.
Yeah. Sorry. I think that's the point. But we always pick a key player for this. I'll be kind to you, David, because it's your first time on here. I'll let you go first. Who did you pick out before Tom lists 6, like he always does?
So I went for Kenny Dougal, their centre midfielder, sort of ball winning sort of defensive midfielder. He's got a good passing and a very good set piece leader. He's scored a couple of goals this season from his set pieces. He's just a very sort of all round steady midfielder who will keep it ticking over. So yeah, he's my pick. A pretty boring one to stand out, but does all the work you need for a team to be successful.
Sounds like we could use a player like that. Tom, what about you?
I went for one of their leaders. I think he's been captain a few. He might even be permanent captain now, but Marvin Ekpiteta. Apologies if I got the name wrong. But big lad, great story coming from East Thurrock. So that's some football that we've seen in it. Siddell down there, East Thurrock level. So lower leagues, and made that journey up through to Orient and then joining Blackpool in 2020. But yeah, I just think a solid defender, and then he pops up with a few goals because he's just a big lad at set pieces, isn't he? So I think that's one thing we've struggled against, a bit of height coming in against us. So just keeping that worry, the big lads quiet, because they've got a few as well. They've got a few bruises in there, and I think there might be a bit of old school footballing needed from some of the Town centre backs on Sunday.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I went for Jerry Yates. I think he's a good player at this level. He's got 2 goals in his last 3, and I just think we've seen the defensive problems with Town. I think probably got a good chance of scoring against us, I think, given how we're playing. So I've picked him. But yeah, no, they do have some good players. Blackpool are interesting side. Obviously Neil Critchley left in the summer, who I thought was a good manager. They've got Michael Atherton in, who not so sure about at this level. But they've got some. They've been scoring a lot of goals. They've scored. They've scored 3 in they've scored 6. Sorry, in their last 3 games. So one to watch out for. But Tom, it's time for you from the other side. So we sent you to Blackpool, didn't we? Did you have a good time? Did you go on the amusements?
Yeah, I went on Donkey, went on the amusements, saw the illuminations. It was really nice, actually. Didn't go in the sea though because I think they just pumped load of crap into it, so didn't get to dip my feet, unfortunately.
Okay. What's your go-to amusement game?
I quite like those bike racing ones where you like
what move?
on a pod racer kind of thing. Yeah, that's pretty fun. That was pretty fun. So I was on that for hours.
Nice.
And then met up. I met up with Joe, and we had an ice cream on the beachfront.
We've lost to a pub side. We've literally lost to a pub side.
Hi Joe, thank you for joining me in sunny Blackpool. So, first question. How do you think you'll fare this season, and what are your expectations?
I think it's fair to say that Blackpool have had a pretty turbulent summer. Obviously kicked off with Neil Critchley leaving the club. I think that took everybody by the surprise because he was saying how he was really looking forward to the next 2 or 3 years. He just signed a new contract. And for him to leave to go as a number 2 was especially a shock. So expectations very much tempered since Critchley's left. A lot of the fan base weren't happy with Michael Appleton being appointed. I think mixture of him leaving after 60 odd days last time he was in charge, and obviously his Preston North End connections. Neither of them really bother myself, but quite a large number of our fan base not happy with either of them. The football under Appleton, to be fair, has been pretty decent. It's been pretty entertaining. You could argue a lot more entertaining than it was under Neil Critchley. The problem is we'll definitely lose a lot more under Appleton because we're far more wide open. But it is a very entertaining watch. It's got to be said. We've had a couple of 3-3 draws on the spin. You were never going to get that under Neil Critchley. Everything that's gone on with the club, including a pretty poor transfer window, which was rounded off by our star man Josh Bowler going to Nottingham Forest. I think expectations are pretty low, to be fair. I think if you offered most Blackpool fans survival right now, they'd probably take it.
Do you think Appleton can take you a step further this season in the Championship?
It's difficult to say. I think the football that we play under Michael Appleton's decent. I think that once the players get used to the different system, and when he finally does get to bring in his own players that are used to playing in that system, I honestly think we will thrive off it. I think people like Jerry Yates, who was in and out of the team under Critchley, they seem to have a new lease of life under Appleton. The same could be said with Shane Lavery. Both strikers were both in and out of the team quite a lot last season. Critchley was a manager that liked to chop and change his team a lot, whether they were winning or losing, whereas Michael Appleton's more of a manager. If you've got the shirt, you keep the shirt until your performances warrant somebody else having it. So I don't know whether Appleton's the man to take us forward, but I think the football's certainly going to be entertaining under him.
Which player excites you the most for the season ahead?
Now, if I answered this question yesterday, I'd say Josh Bowler, but obviously he's gone to Nottingham Forest. Well, I say he's gone to Nottingham Forest. He's gone to Olympiacos via Nottingham Forest, which is even more infuriating that they've taken our best player and immediately loaned him out to another club. But I digress. Probably one of the loan lads. We've got quite a few lads on loan. As you know, Blackpool, we're not the biggest budget in the Championship. We're all well aware of our limitations in that department. I think, realistically, there's only Luton and Rotherham that we can compete with financially in this division. And that's the way it's going to be for the next foreseeable few years. The the lads on loan. I really like the look of Charlie Patino. Arsenal are expecting big things from him. Luckily for yourselves, he's injured, along with a host of about 4 or 5 other players who are having rotten luck with injury at the minute. But from the limited few games that I've seen him play, Patino looks a really good player. We've just got Ian Pervader on loan from Leeds United. I think he's going to be Josh Bowler's replacement outside on that wing. And from his little cameo against Blackburn on Wednesday, he looks a half-decent player, pretty tricky. Dan Grimshaw, if I'm going to mention players that are actually our own, the goalkeeper, we got him from Man City on a free a couple of years ago. He looks a really, really good keeper. Wednesday night, he really did keep us in the game against Blackburn. Made 2 or 3 outstanding saves. We've got a lot of decent players. Marvin Ekpiteta, decent centre-back. There's been a few Premier League clubs sniffing around him. We've got, not what I'd say any real star players, but we've got a lot of grafters, a lot of player with heart. And even when we're not playing well, like the game on Wednesday night against Blackburn, they'll keep going to the end. The last 10 minutes, we gave everything. We just lacked that little bit of quality, that little final touch in the final third. I'd say players on loan, Patino from Arsenal, our own players, probably the keeper, Dan Grimshaw, and centre-back, Marvin Ekpiteta.
What do you think of Town coming into this season?
Looking at it from the outside in, there just seems to be that perfect storm of bad stuff going on at Huddersfield at the minute. You've got that playoff hangover from Nottingham Forest, obviously, and losing big players as well in the summer, particularly Toffolo. I'm a big fan of his, especially losing them at Nottingham Forest. That must be a bit of an extra sting as well. And then you've got the manager going as well, who I really, really rated highly. He did an absolutely fantastic job for you last season. So, in many ways, I think Blackpool and Huddersfield are in similar boats, where we've both had a bit of a turbulent summer, and we're both trying to find our feet at the minute. Obviously, there's signs there that the performance against West Bromwich Albion was decent. The lad on loan from Chelsea, that was a hell of a strike from him, by the way. There's definitely still talent and threats in your team. I think that once the new manager gets his style of play across, I think you'll be fine. Obviously, I don't think you'll be going for the playoffs this season, but I don't think you'll be getting relegated either. I think you're far too good to be getting relegated.
And finally, what's your prediction for Sunday?
Despite losing, I really enjoyed the last game at the John Smiths. Really good game around, I think it was Christmas, New Year. 3-2. I think we were 2-1 up and fairly comfortable until Jordan Gabriel got sent off, and obviously that turned the game. Both teams in a slightly different place at the minute. I'm going to be really boring and sit on the fence and go for a 1-1 draw. I think we need to bounce back from that result against Blackburn Rovers, where even though it finished 1-0, we were fairly poor, and if it wasn't for Grimshaw, we could have lost 3 or 4-0. Yourselves, obviously, you want to bounce back from that result midweek at Bristol City. I'm going to be really boring and say Huddersfield Town 1, Blackpool 1.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks to Joe for that one. Okay, so we'll move on because we've done the mailbag earlier, so it's time for You're the Boss. David, before I ask everyone this, puts them on the spot, but we'll look at the lineup from the previous game, we'll look at how you'd line up the team. But if you're in charge on Sunday, the most important question I've got to ask you is, if you were the manager, what would be your managerial get-up? Tracksuit, suit, something random? What are you going for?
I'd be a cardigan in honour of Scott Parker there.
Ooh.
Have to be.
Ooh.
Would you have
$2,000 cardigan?
Would you have the weird?
I'd expense
He had
it.
like 3 stripes on one sleeve, didn't he?
Yeah, but I think like good cardigans and chinos and
You're one of those trendy managers then.
Yeah, menswear over here.
Yeah. That's too tight to buy a suit, really. So
Yeah, too tight to buy a suit, so I'll get £2,000 cardigan. Okay. Well, I'll come to you with your team first, then, David. So, according to the Old Turf score against Bristol, we lined up in a 3-4-2-1. So you had Lees, Hogg, Nakayama in the back three, Nichols and goal, obviously. Turton, Russell, Radoni as the four, Andrew and Thomas behind Jordan Rhodes. What would you make what changes? Would you bring some of the new lads straight in, or what would you do?
No, I wouldn't bring any of them straight off. I'd probably be looking for a more orthodox sort of 3-5-2 foot system. So I think I'd have a back three of Nakayama, Lees, and probably Turton. I had Reds before he moved on in there, but I think Turton sort of is probably the best place for it at the moment. Kessler, Hayden, and Ruffles still as the wing backs, then Hogg, Russell, and then I was on the shoulder between Holmes and Radoni in that sort of third midfield slot, really. Sort of a flip of a coin, really. Looked like Radoni picked up a knock in that game, so I don't know if I've not seen the press conference yet either to know if he's available.
Unscathed, apparently.
Unscathed, okay.
Yeah.
Then I put Andrew in behind Danny Ward, give him sort of freedom really to pick up space and offer support there. So that would be my 11.
Nice. Tom, any changes for you?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't have Hogg in the back three like he was at Bristol. So, I don't know. It's Hellick. He hasn't been playing for Barnes, has he? But he's not injured, is he? I know
he's fit.
It's a lot to ask to throw him in straight away, but I just don't know. I just think I would, because he knows this league. He played well last season in it. I might pop him in, but other than that, I don't know. I think just keep it as it is potentially. I'd maybe take Russell out and then have Hogg and Radoni if he's doing the 3-4-2-1 again. And then Ward, start Ward over Rhodes, I think.
Yeah, Rhodes was typical when we do this pod, Tom. I was like, why didn't Rhodes get some more minutes? And Danny Schofield must have listened, started him. Yeah. That's definitely what he did. Yeah, no, he was a bit unlucky, I think. I think that Bristol game as well, although it's another defeat, we did miss some chances in that.
Big chances.
So some signs of positivity. I still think I'd bring Ward back in now. I think give Rhodes half an hour, depending on how it's going. But I'm with you. I think I'm going to chuck Hellick in there. If he's fit. I know that's asking a lot, but he has played at this level, and I think we miss. It's clear he's kind of the Pearson, not replacement, but that type of player that we're missing.
Yeah.
And he, as HT AFC Stato did an article on our website, which you can check out, but his stats when he's in the team for Barnsley compared when he's out, sample size and all that, but I think it's like, they concede a goal less when he's in the team.
Right.
So I'd probably go back three. I'd go Hellick. I think Hogg is going to play, but I'll put him in the three and put Lees on the left, and then I'd have Kessler, Hayden and Nakayama, and I'd probably have Holmes and Radoni in the middle, Andrew and Thomas and Ward. I think with this game, again, we've actually got quite a good bench, and now we've got a couple of players where we can mix it, but I think we've got to go for this. I think we've got to get a win. So a little bit more attacking, but who knows? I'm not a manager, but that's what I'm thinking. But in terms of match predictions, then, David, how do you see this one going? What's your score prediction?
I didn't have to do a score prediction. I've got on the spot there.
Okay.
Probably should have really. It's the obvious question. Yeah.
Sorry, David.
I mean, inevitably, what I predict won't happen there. So I could say anything, but I fancy Town to get a win. If we can cut out the mistakes, they scored a couple of goals, win the ball off the back three. They scored against Bristol and Burnley, just pressing up, passing out the back. So if we can eliminate that, I'd fancy us to sort of get a 2-0 win, get a clean sheet behind us as well. I think that would be a big boost to the confidence as well. So I'll just go for a boring 2-0.
Hey, I
Say
take a
that.
boring 2-0.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice one. Tom, what about you?
I don't know. I've always got a few, and I don't. Ooh, I'd love to keep a clean sheet, but I can't see us doing. I think we'll score. I think if we'll win like 4-2. And if we lose, we'll lose like 1-0. There we go.
Nice. So come on then, I'm pushing you to the score prediction now. What you
Yeah,
got for?
4-2 Town then. 4-2.
4-2 Town. Okay. I think we brought these new defensive signings in, but I don't know if they're going to come straight in. I mean, we did see it with Kester Hayden, signed him and he was in. I just went, because Blackpool have had 2 3-all draws in the last 3 games. So I think and we're leaky, so I think there might be a lot of goals in this one. So I've gone same as West Brom, I've gone 2-all. I just don't think we've got enough to win a game yet. But I hope I'm wrong. I think it could. I think 4-2, as crazy as that is, I think that could be a potential score. Who knows? But we'll see. But Tom, is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's the amazing elbow, isn't it?
I think the fans can probably see I was trying my best, working hard.
The amazing elbow.
As a centre forward, the last thing you want is a goal drought starting off in a club. Started on my own up front, and the really good centre forwards like Jordan were rested.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it is.
It is, mate, yeah.
Yeah, it is. That's who it is. You voted. I think at the time recording, there's still like 20 minutes left on that vote. So maybe just stop voting, everyone, because you're all voting. It's great getting involved. So basically, he's gone to see this cabbage man in the kit office, and he shows the amazing elbow these blueprints. So you voted that he just ignores him and elbows him. So the next sequence is, so he shows him the blueprints, and he's obviously not fussed about them. So he just decides to elbow him in the face, which is a little bit out of order from the amazing elbow, because I don't think the cabbage man had particularly done anything wrong. So obviously the cabbage man gets pretty angry about this, and he retaliates by ... Brady, you want to go first?
Yeah. So the cabbage man retaliates by unleashing his son, Cabbage Boy Alex.
Ooh, Cabbage Boy Alex. That's exciting. Wonder why he's called Alex, because we don't actually know who the cabbage man is. His son, weird, Alex. That's interesting.
It's just vague enough that it's not libelous.
Yeah. David, welcome to your first interaction with the amazing elbow. What does the cabbage man retaliate with?
I was going to go with a phone to his friend Gary Pallister, but I think I might be a bit too libelous.
Nah, it'd be fine. No one's going to see it, are they?
I mean, we've said this before.
We can call him.
You can come for us. We have nothing.
Yeah, we can call him Gary Plasterer.
Yeah.
Okay.
His friend. He phones up his friend Gary Plasterer.
That'd be quite good. So, like, his evil skill is being a good plasterer. Okay, nice one. So mine is, he retaliates by setting his army of dinner ladies on him, and that includes Nellie Warnock, Tanya Pulis, and Samantha Allardyce. His army of dinner ladies. So there we go. There's your 3 options. Brady, do you want to run through them?
Absolutely. So the cabbage man retaliates after being elbowed and faced by either unleashing Cabbage Boy Alex, calling his mate Gary Plasterer, or unleashing an army of dinner ladies. What will be the winner? only you can decide in voting in our Twitter poll. So we will see how that one goes. Chaps, I think that's it. Anything else you want to add before we leave the listeners?
Let's just try and get behind Danny Schofield for this one on Sunday. I think let's don't forget it's a Sunday as well. Basically,
that's a good point.
Yeah.
I'd had to double check it was a Sunday.
Yeah, that's it from me.
Yeah, David, anything you want to add?
No, just remember it's a Sunday game.
Yeah,
I think it's important to emphasise that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe
Especially
tell Blackpool it's a Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. All right, chaps. Well, no, thanks for that. So cheers for listening. Cheers for coming on, lads. Thanks to Magic Rock for sponsoring this episode. As always, don't forget you can get 10% off all online orders with the code AHTTC10. Tom and I will be back to preview the next game, which is, I believe, he says,
QPR.
Stalling, QPR, Queen's Park Rangers. So
we got a very special guest on that day as well. Might be a number of guests.
Oh, okay.
And we'll leave you with that.
Well, we'll be cock a hoop for the QPR preview. Hey, see what I did there? Yeah. Nickname the hoops. Right, okay. I'll show up. Just half an hour up the town.
Up the town.
So town play up, bring the car back to Huddersfield.